Here's a value. It's 75, could have been 80, could have been 80, could have been 80. 80,000, 95, 95, 95.
Southern California real estate. For years, it was like a game of Monopoly, only with all winners and no losers.
Third and 65 from Shane, could have been 70.
Now it's more like a game of pickup sticks.
These are all REO assets. They're all foreclosed homes from motivated sellers.
With buyers picking through the wreckage and wondering whether the time is right to pick up a bargain.
60,000, could have been 65. 65, I got 67.5, I got 70.
And some of these prices haven't been seen in Southern California in decades.
Start about cheap. How about 30 grand?
The question here is the one a lot of us are asking. Is now a good time to buy a house in Southern California?
50,000 once, twice. Third and last call. Sell it subject to, Jonathan. Thank you.
What's your number, sir?
You have seen a spectacular decline in prices in the state of California, here in Southern California, something on the order of 45% from the peak. They've never dropped like this. But then again, we've never had a bubble which was so huge. We've never had prices so out of line with people's incomes.
Economist Christopher Thornburg was among the few who predicted how bad the real estate market would get. Now he's looking at the bright side of the housing bust.
Most of the decline we've seen to date has been necessary just to bring us back to historic norms. As much of prices have dropped, realistically, it's just now that prices are back in line with incomes here in the state of California.
That's welcome news to Marion Watson.
This needs a lot of work, brother. How much money do you think it would cost to renovate this thing, man?
He has a good-paying job as a drug company sales rep. But for 10 years, he's been renting an apartment, watching as home prices went off into the stratosphere.
Oh, wow. Well, what crossed my mind was I'm never going to be able to afford to live in LA. I'm going to have to go out to Moreno Valley or someplace like that where the housing prices are a lot less. Is there a 203K loan available for this?
There are 203K loans available.
But it's certainly at a price now and a price point where it makes sense to buy.
This is actually the cleanest, brightest room in the place.
His real estate agent is Victor Jackson.
The real first-time home buyer that we're seeing now are the ones that couldn't get into the market a few years ago because they couldn't afford the monthly payment. They could maybe come up with a down payment, but the monthly payment was so large that they couldn't live their lives based on the mortgage payment.
This Gardena house is being listed at auction with a starting bid of $103,000.
A few years ago, this property would probably sell for about $525,000.
It's price drops like that have drawn Marion Watson and thousands of others into the market, driving the rate of home sales way up, 30% in the past few months. Bert Slusher is a real estate investor who's followed the rise and fall of the LA housing market. He says the sales figures don't tell the whole story.
In March, we had about 20,000 homes that sold in the entire Southern California region. 10,000 of those homes were actually foreclosure resales. And those are really depressing the market price on the downside. In a bubble this big, the lower end takes the hit first, then you start seeing the middle range take the hit, and then the upper range take the hit.
And in this new fractured market, the bulk of home sales are not going to families and first-time buyers, but to a new breed of real estate investor. On a recent Saturday, one group went on a bus tour of distressed properties in South LA County.
People will tell you, oh, it's coming down, we're close to the bottom. I don't know. I just have to buy right. If I buy 50% on the dollar, I got a nice margin, so if this is even gonna go further, I think I'm in a safe buy. So it's just about smart buying.
Remember I showed you a portion of the front of the house that is sinking and looking low?
To help these wannabe investors make a smart buy, property rehab specialist Pete Youngs is training them in what to look for when buying a foreclosed home.
The window sill.
Their goal is to find affordable properties and fix them up. Not to flip them quickly in a resale like the old days. No, these buyers are hoping to make a long-term investment.
All I would do is get concrete mortar mix and a 12-inch wide metal scraper.
If the mortgage on a home is low enough, they can make a profit by renting it out.
When people hear that I'm an investor in real estate, they say, "Are you crazy? Are you going to lose all your money? Do you know what you're doing? Don't you listen to the news?" And I tell my friends and family, stop watching the news.
And who are the investors looking to rent to in this market?
With the high rate of foreclosures, everyone losing their homes, they need a place to live.
You'll see the nails.
When you have foreclosure on your credit, it's really difficult to turn around and try to buy something else for a while. Where are they going to go? They're your new renters.
The housing bust may have created a reversal of fortunes among homeowners and renters in the hard-hit areas, but in the high-end markets, the old status quo is hanging on, but just barely.
Those markets are a lot more resistant, and they have a higher buffer because typically people that live there have higher incomes. So people are a lot less likely to sell a home because you're not going to sell your home for 50% off.
Many homeowners in the high-end neighborhoods have simply taken their homes off the market, not wanting to sell at a discount. So while home sales are on the rise elsewhere, in a place like Santa Monica, there's been a sales drop of over 1/3.
And that's truly, I guess, where we're at right now. That's the stalemate.
Which means that real estate agents like Mike Mandikik have had to find new sources of income. 3 years ago, we filmed Mike and his business partner as they checked up on multi-million-dollar properties in the streets above Sunset Boulevard. Today, he's making ends meet with foreclosures in working-class areas like San Fernando.
Judy, you got to do what you have to do. If you want to survive in this business, you got to go along with the flow. You've got to say, hey, Mike, there's not the opportunity is selling these foreclosures right now.
So a commission from a house in Beverly Hills can carry you for a while, but you'd have to sell a lot of these to make up for what you've lost in the Beverly Hills market.
Probably about 5 to 10 of these to sell one big house in Beverly Hills, yes.
Mike hopes that the West Side market picks up soon. But before that happens, the home sellers may have to face some harsh realities.
I have a word I like to use. I call it home hallucination. What I call home hallucination is the ability to convince yourself that while the price of everybody else's home is going to fall, your neighborhood is clearly different.
People used to believe that their houses could only grow in value, especially in those pricey neighborhoods long considered to be safe bets. Now, all bets are off. Why? Because as more and more high-income people lose their jobs, they may be forced to sell their houses, dropping prices in those neighborhoods even more.
Even in the toniest neighborhoods, you've seen declines in prices of 15 to 20% so far, probably another 15 to 20% to go. We got to clear through the economic mess. Unemployment has to start coming back down again. When home prices hit bottom, they're going to stay there for some time. So, is this a good time to buy? Absolutely. Is it a good time to buy in 6 months? Absolutely. Is it a good time to buy in a year and a half? Absolutely. Take your time.
Thank you all.